And I'm just going to welcome everybody today. Delighted to see some familiar faces, and welcome to those that I'm seeing for the first time. I'm Karen. I'm the co-director of Finesse Movement in Maynooth. And we initially did our first one of these talks back with Maureen back in March, and I just sort of thought sleep is such a topic that comes up not only for menopausal women and perimenopausal women, but also for just, general public. There's a lot of people who have problems, just getting some good sleep hygiene. So we decided to make this our second one. So just a little bit about Finesse. Our mission is to have a positive impact on our clients' lives by helping them regain and maintain pain-free functional movement. And that's through the physical therapy clinic and also reformer Pilates. But we're also particularly passionate about women's health. And I'm a woman of a certain age. And I'd noticed some changes going on in my own body for a few years. The biggest symptom I experienced was anxiety, actually. But I battled anxiety for the best part of my adult life. And I just put it down to stress and running my own business and being a working mom and trying to be in two places at the one time. And look, you all know, you're all there, you all know it. So with that, I decided I'd go and just seek some treatment for this. And that is where I met Maureen. And, the conversations that we were having were very interesting. The first one being, do you ever think that you might be perimenopausal? And I just went, oh my God, my doctor says I'm not. And, everything just started to fall into place. It was just like, every light bulb just went on. And I sought some treatment for that as well and haven't looked back. So I really do thank Maureen for that, because if I was to listen to my own doctor and go by her and her blood tests, which were going to mean nothing, I'd still be crying into the press and leaving things in the hot press and doing all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So I want to introduce you to Maureen. So she has a long list of achievements to her name, I have to say. It's absolutely mind-blowing for one who is so young. She's a graduate of the University of Ulster and is a registered mental health nurse. She's also a certified exercise, nutrition and personal training practitioner. She's both qualified in yoga and stop Pilates, which I was very interested in because that's the school of Pilates I learned myself. And also is a certified executive and life coach. So she currently works, she's currently working towards her accreditation in interpersonal psychotherapy. So she works in Highfield Healthcare. This is where I met her in Dublin. And she has a special interest in menopause and has done some specific training with the British Menopause Association, and is also a fully fledged member there as well. And the program that she did was designed specifically for nurses, advising women on symptoms and treatments for perimenopause and menopause as well. She's also lived in the UEA with her family, her husband and two sons, for a few years, and then came back to work in Highfield, where she facilitates group therapy sessions in anxiety management and the management of mood disorders as well. So a long list of achievements. So we're in great hands this evening. Before we get going, I just want to mention a few things of housekeeping. I'm going to keep you muted until the end, just so everyone gets the opportunity to listen to her. If you have some questions, you can write them in the chat box. And also, if you want to ask that question anonymously, then just send it to me and I'll ask on your behalf. But it goes without saying, this is a safe space. So please respect everybody's privacy if anyone is going to ask a question. And finally, there's no need to take any notes because Maureen has kindly offered to give us her presentation for further digestion. My God. And, you know, there may be someone in your life, in your family that, you know, you kind of would ring a bell with some of the things that she's going to say, so you can pass that information on to them. And I'm going to hand you over to Maureen.
I'll unmute myself here and get, so Karen, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are a match made in heaven, and it was fantastic meeting you as well, and tremendous fun. And we're continuing on with the fun.
Yeah.
This is only the beginning.
On the journey.
Yeah, I'll just get my little presentation up here. Can everybody can see that, I hope. So just get into slideshow. And there we go. So hopefully if anybody can't see it, just put a message in the chat. So first of all, just want to let you know about a revolutionary new treatment that scientists have discovered. It makes you live longer. It enhances your memory, makes you more creative, makes you look more attractive, if that's possible, keeps you slim and lowers food cravings. It protects you from cancer and dementia. It wards off colds and the flu. Can't say about COVID, don't know. It lowers your risk of heart attacks and stroke, not to mention diabetes. You'll even feel happier, less depressed, and less anxious. Are you interested? So if so, stay on this talk, and if not. So this comes from the book, Why We Sleep, The New Science of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker. I highly recommend that book. He's one of the leading neuroscientists in the world, and he does a lot of research. So just Google him and Google the book, and it's really interesting. So my next slide is just my little disclaimer. I am not a neuroscientist or a doctor or a sleep expert, or this presentation is for general information purposes only. So most of this information comes from the sleep hygiene workshop that I would do here in Highfield. I do it for staff, and I do it for clients as well. So the objective is to educate and signpost to relevant services and treatments. So this, you know, it's not a clinical assessment, so please consult with your relevant healthcare provider to discuss as needed as you go on. So that's the little disclaimer. So midlife and sleep. I called it midlife and sleep because I'm sure most people that are on this talk are Generation X. So if you were born between 1965 and 1985, you're Generation X, or the sandwich generation, as most, well, a lot of certainly females are, aren't we? Especially if you're females with children, teenagers, maybe elderly parents. So there's an awful lot going on for us, and work as well. So trying to get good quality sleep can be quite challenging at this time of life. So a lot of the information here, the sleep hygiene piece, it's about when you have a relatively okay pattern and you would like to improve it. So how much sleep do you really need? So we all know that newborns need a ton of sleep. And then adults, look, it varies. It can be anything, you know, 7 to 9 is the average, but it can be 6 hours. It depends on the person. And really the best indicator is if you kind of see how you are 11 o'clock in the morning. Am I alert? Am I off? I often do this to check how I am. Am I tired? That means, yeah, I'm doing okay sleep-wise. So as you can see, the sleeps, teens 8.5 to 9.5 hours, although I have a teenager, apparently 5.5 hours is plenty for him. So he is himself. So this slide is not to frighten the living daylights out of you. It just shows that the ongoing effects of sleep deprivation. You would have to be sleep deprived for many, many years. But in terms of if we don't address sleep issues, which is something that we really work on here. Obviously, anxiety and sleep, they're not good bedfellows. So we do an awful lot of work here on sleep with people. Quite often when clients come into us here, sometimes the sleep is the thing that we have to focus on first. We have to help them get some good quality rest. And generally speaking, we can do it with medication, and then we can do it with the gentle sleep practices as well. So you can see that, you know, many years of sleep depression can lead to different parts of the effects on the different parts of the body. And also as well, research is showing now in terms of obesity and lack of sleep, because when we are tired, the next day we have two hormones, ghrelin and leptin. And leptin kind of turns off our appetite when we've enough to eat, it's released. And ghrelin is the, you know, the cravings, the hunger. So when we're tired, leptin is turned off and ghrelin is up there. So you're craving, your brain wants carbohydrates, your brain wants energy. So you're not going to go for the broccoli or the apple. You're going to go for the donut, the scone, the toast, the crunchy nut cornflakes, whatever is going to give you that quick release piece of energy. So that's the piece with sleep deprivation. And even in Matthew Walker's book, he talks about there's a very, very rare disease where people can't sleep all of a sudden. It's a neurological condition. They can't sleep at all, not at all, but it takes at least 2 to 3 years before that would affect them in terms of their mortality. So you can see we're super, super resilient. We're designed to go for periods of time without sleep. So this is the sleep cycles. I'm sure you're aware of sleep cycles and that we go through 4 through the night, 1 REM, rapid eye movement, and then 3 non-rapid eye movement. So they cycle throughout the night, and they're at different, it's between 90 and 120, and then in the later parts of the night, that gets shorter. So the different types of sleep help us with the restorative parts in our body. Stage 3, which is the deep sleep, that's really important. That's the deep sleep, and that's really important in terms of our brain, helps with creativity, helps us feel fresh. And then the REM as well, that's kind of the washing machine of the brain. So it helps us process the emotions, it helps us process experiences, things we've done during the day. I'm sure you've all experienced where you've had a dream which is a mix of maybe a movie you watched on TV, along with a conversation you had with a colleague, along with maybe a house you're thinking of buying down the road. So that's just your mind, and it's really important that we can have good quality sleep and try and go through these cycles throughout the night, and try and go through 3 to 4 of these cycles. So the next slide shows the different stages and the normal length. So if anybody has a Fitbit or a Garmin, my husband has a Garmin, he's obsessed with it now. He was only asking me this morning. He was very proud of himself. He had 40 minutes deep sleep last night. So I said, yay, well done. So if you have a Fitbit or a Garmin, you can track, I mean, it goes on your heart rate. So it's only an indicator, but it can show you, like the stage 1 is the lighter sleep. And then it'll show you as you're going through the sleep cycles. So yeah, I have a Fitbit, and I like the sleep bits. Actually, Nick, my boss here, he had a Fitbit, and again, he was tracking all the sleep bits, and then I got my Fitbit. And actually he normally sleeps for about 5 hours a night. And I was wondering, how does he do it? And he's not tired or anything. And I always aim for about like 7.5 hours. And when we compared, he's actually getting more deep sleep. So he was getting much better quality sleep than I was. I was waking quite a lot during the night and in lighter sleep. So no wonder, even after, say, 7 hours, I was waking up still feeling, quite tired. So it just goes to show you it's the quality, not quantity. So what affects our ability to get quality sleep? So there's lots of things. I couldn't possibly name everything. So I've just gone through the main things that we find here in work. So blue light contamination. So the blue light is the most potent of the visible light spectrum. So we evolved from fish, and we still have in the pineal gland in the brain, we still have that sensitivity to blue light, because that's the light that the red and green get cut off at the top of the ocean, and then the blue light goes in. So that's why we're really sensitive to the blue light. It keeps us alert, it keeps us awake, and it keeps us, years ago kept us swimming in the ocean. So we evolved within the blue light spectrum, hence the bias for the sensitivity. So the blue light, the LED lights, all the screens and that, what happens, it affects our production of melatonin, which we're going to look at melatonin in a few slides. And it interferes with the melatonin. So your brain is going, it's daytime, oh, it's not nighttime, and it starts to reduce the production of melatonin. So that's how it interferes. It's really important that we manage that. So there's all the little bits and bobs. I don't know how many of you take your phone to bed at night, but for a lot of people here, that's really, really helped. And even if you put the blue light or the red light on, the lights that take off the blue light. We had one client here and he was doing everything, but it turns out what he was doing is he was on boards.ie every night arguing with people. And then so it was kind of like, no, you have to actually put the iPad out of your room because, that was kind of keeping him alert and awake. Imagine the adrenaline for doing that stuff. And it really worked for him. And to this day, he's still doing it, which is great. So some people can't sleep because they've insomnia. I can't sleep because I have internet. That could have been written by my son, Charlie. So how to protect yourself. So use dim red lights for night lights. So red light has the least power to shift circadian rhythm and suppress melatonin. Avoid looking at bright screens beginning 1 to 2 hours before bed, or at least 30 minutes. If you work a night shift or use a lot of electronic devices at night, consider wearing blue blocking glasses or installing an app that filters the blue-green wavelength at night. Yeah, I had a client here who had those glasses, and he said they really worked. What is really, really, really important for your sleep and to get good quality sleep and a good pattern is expose yourself to lots of bright light during the day. It's really important. We'll see it when we're looking at the melatonin and serotonin. And that'll boost your ability to sleep at night as well as your mood and alertness during the daylight. And it's especially important as well. I advise a lot of our older clients here to, especially in wintertime, to always try and get out for a second walk in the afternoon before it gets dark, and just to try and get as much light as you can. It's brilliant now with the bright evenings as well, and it just helps you. It helps with that sleep pressure and just helps with the balancing of the hormones. So it's really about what you do. So we would always, that's the first thing we do, is encourage people to get out and start feeding the senses a little bit with, a 20, 30-minute walk. So these are quite good for your bedroom. The Alexa, a digital alarm clock, the Kindle. With your alarm clock, actually, I do it myself. I have a digital one, but I turn it to the wall. So when I wake up, I don't see what time it is. Even if I get up to go to the loo, I don't know what time it is. It doesn't bother me, because if you look and go, oh my gosh, it's 2:45. Oh no, I have to get up at 6 a.m. If you don't know what the time is, it's fine. And you just get back into bed and do your breathing and relax again. And if a ticking clock helps relax you, have a ticking clock as well. So this would be the big thing that we work with people on here. So stress resulting in anxiety can cause sleeping problems or worsen existing ones. And then lack of sleep can also contribute to an anxiety disorder and clinical depression. And sometimes, is it the chicken or is it the egg? What's going on here? Because quite often, actually, just a client asked me today about that in terms of, with anxiety and generalized anxiety disorder, it's just exhausting. And then you're not sleeping. So, as a result, then, you're unable to go out every day walking and getting the sunlight, and your sleep is affected. So it's really, they're two sides nearly of the one coin. So it's really important then to manage the whole sleep and worry piece. And that's a big thing we do here through the different treatments, which really is the medication and the talking therapy and the psychoeducation like this, and then the one-to-one kind of monitoring of the sleep. So how I just put in a few, there's a ton of things I could put in, but I kind of just put in the main things here for managing my worries tips. So don't go to bed too early. That's one thing. And especially if you're feeling low in mood, if you're feeling anxious, if life is a little bit difficult, sometimes it's very tempting to go up to bed and pull the covers over your head. But then your brain is going, yippee, it's dark. Let's start ruminating. And then you start to think of, ruminating on things you haven't done or you should do, or it's something you said to somebody 15 years ago, things like this. So make sure you go to bed when you're tired, but try to go to bed when you're tired and not, go over that. So if you notice that you start to get tired about 10:30, maybe that's the time to start winding down and going up to bed. So everyone's different. And then try to get up at the same time every day with an alarm clock as well, even if you don't sleep well that night. So because you want to keep your sleep pressure, that develops throughout the day. It's a chemical, adenosine, and that just kind of grows, that develops throughout the day until it gets to the point where your sleep pressure is high enough for you to go to bed and fall asleep. So that's sort of what happens. If you suffer from Sunday night insomnia because you sleep in on Saturday morning and you sleep in on Sunday morning, your sleep pressure isn't high enough at 10:30 on Sunday night. It's going to be 12:30 or 1. So, if you can cope with that, fine. If it's not affecting your function, your mood, your anxiety, no problem. But if you wanted to address that, then get up within an hour of your getting up work time. So if you get up at 7 on a weekday, get up at 8 at a weekend. That's only if you want to. Allow a short period of time each day to worry. So we would do cognitive behavior therapy techniques with our clients here, both in group and one-to-one. So one really effective piece to do is allowing yourself each day a worry time. So for instance, you might say, right, every day after dinner, after I tidied up after dinner, I'll take 15 minutes. And what I'm going to do is just write down my worries, think of my worries. And quite often you'll see that, I often see, I think, I feel like it's a washing machine in my head. Then I start to write things down. I'm like, oh, is that all? And it's just because you're ruminating. It's going over and over and over. So you can do two things. You can write a list of real worries and a list of hypothetical worries. So a real worry is, I am sick. A hypothetical worry is, I might get sick. Or alternatively, the one I like to do is what is in my control, and then what is not in my control. So what can I do to help myself to prevent becoming ill? And, if I become ill, what can I do? And then you're looking at the control piece there. And then using breathing techniques to direct attention. So at the end, we're going to do a short breathing technique, square breathing. I'm sure some of you do it already, to help direct attention when in bed and remind yourself as well how restorative this practice is, how you're accessing the rest and digest nervous system. And even though you're awake, you're really doing your body lots of help here. So we look at that as we go further on. Then there's other sleep hidden stealers. We genuinely had a client here who used to go to bed most nights with a takeaway, and then he was perplexed as to why he couldn't sleep. So we enlightened him, and he improved greatly. So things like coffee, again with adenosine, which is our sleep pressure, what caffeine does, the adenosine keeps going and the caffeine just masks the effect of the adenosine. So that's why, when you have a coffee and then you crash. For some people, it depends on your liver and how it metabolizes caffeine. Some people, it can take 7 to 8 hours for caffeine to be metabolized. And other people, like one of my uncles, it seems to take half an hour. You can have an espresso and be conked out. So it depends on the person. Again, sugar, some people can find that very activating. Coca-Cola. Cigarette, nicotine is a stimulant. So people would often get up in the middle of the night and have a cigarette, a cup of tea, caffeine, cigarette, nicotine, and they're stimulants. So it could take another couple of hours for your body to wind down after having them. So if that's something you do and you can't sleep, it might be something to look at. And then alcohol. Alcohol is actually initially a little stimulant and then a depressant. So look, 1 or 2 units, a really small glass of wine or a small little gin and tonic is fine, but we don't all know, but most of us know the effects of a large amount of alcohol on your sleep, and it's not very pleasant the next day. Fine, probably when you're in your 20s and maybe even early 30s, but when you're Generation X, it really plays havoc with your sleep. So hormones. So these are the next few little things that interfere with our sleep. So we all know about hormones, and I have a whole talk on hormones actually, don't I, Karen? Making up. So our 2 main hormones, we've lots of stuff going on in our body, but I'm just talking about the main ones. Melatonin and serotonin regulate various functions inside our body, such as the appetite, mood, and sleep. So serotonin, melatonin are literally day and night in hormone terms, and they perform opposite jobs. Yet they must work in harmony to keep the body balanced. So how do we keep them in harmony as much as we can? So serotonin is, you might have heard of it, like the happy hormone, the feel-good hormone. It's also the hormone that would be in antidepressants, the SSRI, the serotonin, and then the SNRI. So it helps with the reuptake of that neurotransmitter. It also works on dopamine as well. Dopamine is for the drive, and that helps us with focus. So it energizes us. And this energy is particularly important because it's going to get us going in the morning and wash away the lethargy that would keep us in bed. So what I do in the morning, these mornings now, I've only been able to start this a few weeks ago, but I lift the blinds asleep in the attic, and well, it's converted. I'm not just put up in the attic. Pull the blinds up, and I let the light into my retina, which goes into my pineal gland, for 10 seconds. And then off to the shower. And that just helps give me a little boost in the morning. And between that and my coffee, then I'm flying it. So serotonin levels increase in sunshine and light environments. Have you ever noticed how happy you are in Lanzarote, or Spain? Or look at us even here now. I certainly notice myself, like a day like today, or when, the sun is out. So serotonin is really good for us. And this COVID and us not being able to go on our holidays, it really is affecting our serotonin. So hopefully we'll have a long, hot summer here. And then we have melatonin, which is the hormone of darkness, and is produced in the pineal gland of the brain as the light darkens. And this, that's why actually the month I dislike most is June, because it's just too light. It's light until 10:30 at night. I hate it. I find it really hard to wind down. I like to go to bed at 10, and it's so difficult in June. But anyway, I get through it. So the change in light causes messages to be sent from the eye to the brain, telling it more melatonin should be produced to get us sleepy. And that's where like the blue light can interfere with the melatonin. If we're out in LED lights, if we're keeping, if you have the big lights on in the living room, I would turn off the lights in the living room at night, sometimes have candles, but Harry and I watch TV and we have all the lights off, and that's from 9 p.m. and it just really helps to wind the body down to a more lethargic sleep ready state. And then your levels of melatonin are boosted when it's dark. So how do I increase melatonin and serotonin? Well, like I said there, just dim the lights, avoid bright screens, just really try and remember it's the opposite to the morning. So you just want to keep the light low. Even, at nighttime, if you get up to go to the loo, try and keep the lights off if you can, if it's safe enough. Try and, I try not to open my eyes too much. Haven't tripped yet, but just trying to keep everything dark and keep that melatonin producing. And then, like I said, boost your serotonin level in the morning by opening the curtains, letting in as much sunlight as possible, and better yet, get outside in the open air for at least 20 minutes per day. And look, we need the vitamin D and everything else. So there's no great evidence for this, but, a lot of it is anecdotal about melatonin and serotonin in food. There are a couple of studies about cherries, But, you know, we don't know if it's the pseudo effect. Bananas, oatmeal and milk are very soothing and comforting. They help with melatonin production. And then protein-rich foods are very good for us with serotonin. And of course, a lot of our serotonin is produced in the gut. So if you're eating a good, healthy diet, which, you know, really the Mediterranean diet is the one that comes out all the time in all the research studies as being really good for brain health, really good for everything in our body. You know, you can't go wrong. So, and then looking after all your gut biome and all those little creatures. Also as well, a lot of our clients would use the SAD lamps. That's the SAD alarm clock that slowly comes on in the morning and just lightens up the room. And then other people would actually do the therapy, say, for 20 minutes a day. There's a lot of evidence to show as well, studies and showing that that is quite effective for people as well. So maybe some of you have them, so they're quite good. The other hormones then that especially affect females coming into perimenopause and menopause. So the decline of estrogen in perimenopause contributes to disrupted sleep in about 60% of females. I mean, I have to say, everybody I speak to, I would say 100%, including myself. The decline of progesterone in perimenopause can contribute to sleep disturbance, as progesterone has a sedative effect by acting on the brain pathways. So it acts on the pathways, the GABA, that the same as benzodiazepines, like you would have heard of Valium maybe, or Xanax. So progesterone has that calming. It's, you know, it's like the female tranquilizing hormone. And then melatonin, as we mentioned, that decreases with age, and that's partly influenced by estrogen and progesterone levels, with decreasing in perimenopause and postmenopause. So you can see how the hormone deficiency in menopause is, like, it stands to reason it's going to affect sleep in most people. And then I have a whole talk on that, so I just thought I'd put this in just in case anybody didn't know what the symptoms of perimenopause are. And they're most of them, they're the main ones there that people get. So we've loads of information on that anyway, and Karen can send it if you want, or I can send it as well. Sleep apnea is something that is very common as well in with women in menopause. So night sweats and hot flushes may be linked to increased risk of sleep apnea. There's a lot of information on this. I've referenced it at the end on the Women's Health Concern. All the information is from the British Menopause Society. So it's all evidence-based, based on published studies. It's more common in women who have had a surgical menopause compared to natural menopause, because the hormones go off a cliff. Studies show that a decline in progesterone may contribute to partial upper airway obstruction and reduced breathing drive. And then sleep apnea in women can also manifest itself in other ways: headaches, insomnia, depression, anxiety, and daytime fatigue. And also, women don't necessarily snore. So we think of sleep apnea, don't we, as an overweight man who snores, but it's actually not. And it can be quite debilitating. But it's very easily treated with, I don't know, some people might use it or know somebody who uses a CPAP machine. And that one of my clients now, he's male, but he sleeps a solid 12 hours a night with his CPAP machine. He's retired, so he's delighted. He was actually only in with me this week. So envious of him. And that changed his life as well. So sleep apnea is something that needs to be investigated by a sleep specialist as well. Your GP would refer you if you suspect sleep apnea. Another thing that's very common is restless legs. Women are about twice as likely as men to experience it. I don't know if anybody here has experienced it. Sufferers get tingling, creepy, crawly sensations in their legs at night. So the recent studies reveal 69% postmenopausal women perceive their symptoms as worse than before menopause. But then it's not clear whether restless leg syndrome contributes to sleep disturbance, or if women who are not sleeping are more aware of the problem. So more studies need to be done on this, but restless leg syndrome is certainly something that's very interesting in the post-menopausal piece. And I would hear it reported a lot from women as well, especially late 50s, 60s. So treatments. So in terms of treatments, if your sleep is disrupted and you suspect by perimenopausal symptoms or postmenopausal, hormone replacement therapy. So that's the first line treatment in the NICE guidelines, which I explained NICE in the last talk, the National Institute of Clinical, it's the guidance piece from the UK that all clinicians would follow, all doctors would follow. So that's the first line treatment. Second would be SSRIs and SNRIs, the low dose antidepressants. You can also, if hot flushes are really disturbing your sleep, there's also gabapentin, which is a medication for epilepsy, which can be used to help manage hot flushes, although it's not without its side effects, and clonidine as well, which manages blood pressure, and again, not without its side effects. Melatonin, we actually do prescribe melatonin here. It works in some people, it doesn't work in others. There's limited evidence, but also you can have, the pseudo effect as well. So if it does help somebody sleep, it helps them sleep. Acupuncture, acupuncture is going to help you full stop. Again, there's limited evidence in terms of it would help relieve symptoms. So what we're looking at here is relieving the symptoms long term. And of course, with hormone replacement therapy, it's not just relieving symptoms, it's also the health benefits of the long-term gains of the protection against osteoporosis and cardiovascular disease, and looking at dementia now as well. So it's that long-term piece as well, but acupuncture is certainly very helpful. And then there's herbal remedies as well. Valerian, again, limited evidence in that. There's also, I didn't put it in, magnesium, and certainly magnesium and vitamin B, they've been related as well. I was trying to look for some research over the weekend and even on the British Menopause Society, and there is quite limited evidence out there. But again, magnesium is something that is important. We would always test for it here, especially with females, making sure they have enough magnesium. It helps basically with the nervous system. So they're kind of the treatment pieces with the medication. So there's cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia, and it's specifically for insomnia. And it's about helping the thinking around sleep. So it's, in a nutshell, it's kind of like what you start to do when you develop insomnia is you start to develop negative associations about lying in bed. So you start to think, oh God, your brain starts to associate, oh no, not this again. You're in the bed ruminating. And it just becomes this loop and this cycle of negative thoughts, negative emotions, and then the behavior. So CBTI is a program that looks on reframing these thoughts, really. And so there's lots of the cognitive approach, and then looking at helpful versus unhelpful thoughts. There's relaxation training, stimulus control, and then sleep restriction, which is the piece I was saying, going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, no matter how tired or how poorly you're sleeping. And then psychoeducational interventions like this, a sleep hygiene talk like this, and then understanding about emotions. And so there's a really good TED Talk, no, not TED Talk, podcast for Dr. Louise Newson, who's my superhero. She's a GP in the UK. She's fantastic. She's really spearheading the whole sharing of information for women about perimenopause and menopause. She is a qualified GP, hospital doctor as well. She has everything is evidence-based. So she's properly qualified, and all the information is evidence-based. So it's top quality. So this podcast is really good. You're feeling sleepy. And Catherine Pinkham from the Insomnia Clinic in the UK explains what CBTI is really well. Now, She also has an online CBTI course. I think it's about £225, so whatever that is in, so it can be done online as well. I was trying to find, like, I don't want to recommend anything in Ireland because I don't know. I did ask our psychologists here, but they didn't really know. They can do CBTI, so I'm not sure if there's anything specific here. So if anybody does know, can you let me know, please? I'd be most grateful. And then we have another therapy that we do here called acceptance and commitment therapy. Acceptance and commitment therapy is similar but different to cognitive behavior therapy. So rather than getting at your thoughts, examining them, what's a helpful thought, what's an unhelpful thought, and reframing, acceptance and commitment therapy is about noticing the thoughts and not fusing with the thoughts. So diffusing the thoughts and just letting the thoughts, flow by. And I make it sound a million times easier than it actually is. So it's based on acceptance and mindfulness. It follows techniques will help you notice and become comfortable with the thoughts and feelings you have around sleep. And it focuses on accepting the feelings and thoughts associated with insomnia through value-based actions and not concentrating exclusively on symptom control. So the value-based actions are basically your life, what's going on in your life, and what's kind of going underneath, and looking at what really is it at the moment as well. So acceptance and commitment therapy is explained by Sheila O'Flaherty here, our senior social worker who's trained in this. Sheila said it can work really well for people who, the cognitive behavior therapy can be very A, B, C, D, very structured and so for somebody who maybe would find that they hang on to it too much, get too rigid, this could be a nicer therapy in terms of that new skill of learning to accept thoughts and just being mindful, and rather than saying, right, I must get up 15 minutes and then I must get back into bed, and then you lie there and you accept what's happening and you breathe. So Aisling Curtin and her partner Trish, this is their website. They would be one of the main acceptance and commitment therapists here. So it's worth having a look on their website and exploring it if you were interested in that. I can also give you more information, and Sheila can as well if anybody is interested. So good sleep hygiene. What time is it? Oops. Oh, we're not too bad. I'll fly on. So look, I think there's not going to be anything new in this. You've heard all this 1,000 times. And like everything, it's about that knowledge action gap, isn't it? We know it all, but what do we need to do? So stick to a sleep schedule if you can. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Easier said than done. And sleeping at later the weekends won't fully make up for lack of sleep during the week, and to wake up refreshed Monday morning. So, and setting an alarm for a bedtime. So that worked amazing with one of my clients. She just couldn't get off the couch to go to bed. So I got her to put an alarm clock on the mantelpiece and put it away from her. And then the alarm went off, and she just, no matter what, she just got up and had to go up to bed every night. And that really worked. So if that works for you, an alarm, little vibration on your phone, whatever. For some people, keeping a sleep diary to identify sleep habits and patterns. You may be sleeping better than you think, or you may be sleeping worse. So we would often get people to keep a sleep diary and a mood diary, and just to monitor what's going on. So like we said earlier, exercise early in the day for at least 30 minutes, and preferably not 2 to 3 hours before bedtime, because you're going to be activated. Avoid caffeine and nicotine if you can, and it can we spoke about the adenosine. So nicotine is a stimulant, and smokers sleep lighter and wake earlier due that's a typo, to nicotine withdrawal. So just be careful around the cigarettes. Avoid alcoholic drinks. A nightcap can help, and heavy use robs you of REM sleep. That's, the sleep where we need to dream, and the washing machine where we need to clean out all the emotions, and keeps you in the lighter stages of sleep. Can impair your breathing at night and waking early when the effects of the alcohol wear off. And then avoid large meals and beverages. We all know that feeling, don't we? of going to bed with their full tummy. So your tummy, your body is busy trying to digest everything. And then obviously drinking too much can cause frequent awakenings to urinate, which actually on that point, nocturia, which is that was one of my main issues in perimenopause, getting up sometimes on average about 4 times a night to go to the loo. So that was just crazy. Even though I try and keep my eyes closed, all the rest, it was too much. So you have to just watch that. Short naps can help make up for lost sleep, 20 to 30 minutes. Now, if you're doing the CBTI and you're on a strict schedule, no. But normally, this information is for us who have pretty okay sleep pattern and want to tweak it. And if you can, don't take naps after 3 p.m. You don't want to interfere with that sleep pressure. And if you can, relax before bed. So it's really important what you do in your day. So if you've got a day which is mad, busy, crazy, crammed, there's a good chance that night you're not going to sleep well because you're still, even though you feel like you really want to sleep, you're tired but wired. So if you can, as much as possible, it's not always possible, don't overschedule your day and try and get the daylight. Save time for unwinding with a relaxing activity such as reading, listening to music, or watching Parks and Recreation as I do, which is great. Something nice to unwind. And use sleep relaxation, guided meditation. I have a link actually to one that we do here that's really good. I know a lot of people don't have baths in their houses anymore. We got ours removed. So the drop in body temperature can make you feel sleepy. A bath helps with relaxation. So for some people it doesn't, but a shower can be activating. So shower in the morning. So it depends. Some people find a warm shower at night, maybe if it's not a power shower, can help, but some people would find a shower activating. So just experiment and see yourself. And then your sleep, keep the room nice and cool, blackout curtains, because obviously as the light comes in through the retina into the pineal gland, it's going to wake you up. Try and have a gadget-free room if you can. Turn your alarm clock away so you don't worry about the time as you fall asleep, and have a comfortable mattress and pillow. You wouldn't believe, how important that is. I know Karen loves her silk pillowcase. Keep meaning to buy one. And I have actually, what I can't sleep without is earplugs. They're fabulous. I buy the silicone ones in Superdrug, and I could not sleep without them. No way. So I need that sensory deprivation. The room completely dark, blackout curtains. I have my comfy pillow. Actually, my best mate, Rowena, I don't know if she's on this talk, but when Rowena comes up, she brings her pillow with her. So that's how much she's in love with her pillow. So it's really, really important. And obviously, if the person beside you is annoying you or snoring or whatever, you have to do something about that too. So kick them or wear earplugs or whatever. So daylight regulates our sleep patterns. Go outside for a minimum of 30 minutes per day, 20 minimum. Get light into your eyes straight after you get up in the morning. And the ideal is an hour of morning sunlight and turn the lights down in the evening. That's the ideal. So just like that, wouldn't that be lovely? Imagine 25 degrees outside. Lovely. So don't toss and turn. If you're awake for more than 20 minutes and start to feel anxious, get up and do a relaxing activity. Even to get up and go to the toilet can sometimes just break that cycle. So something relaxing, maybe not the hoovering or maybe not, starting work or something. Practice breathing techniques, maybe listen to a hypnosis app or something like that. And that really is, isn't it? Not having to set an alarm. Although that goes against what I said about getting up every day at the same time. So there are different apps. There's Sleep Stories, the Calm app. I'm sure everybody has a load of apps. So I have a link there to the Beaumont website, the Beaumont Mindfulness and Relaxation Center. And they've got a whole list of exercises. This insomnia one, this is what I use at the end of the sleep workshop here. When people were in here, I used to get people lying on yoga mats, and then we would do this insomnia And his voice is lovely and it's very reassuring. So have a listen if you want and give it a go. It's really good. And then this is square breathing. This is very effective. So what it does is when we breathe and we take the breath into the belly, this is sending the signals then to the brain that and through the nervous system that we're calming down. So the brain doesn't know what's real or perceived. So if we're thinking calm thoughts, that's going to induce calm feelings. If we're thinking anxious thoughts, that's going to induce anxious feelings. So quite often the breathing is very good, and then the focus on the numbers as well helps with the intention. So if you don't mind, I was going to just practice this. We were just going to do 4 rounds and just try it yourself. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. Just sit there and gaze into the screen, or get down and do 20 press-ups, or, you know, whatever you fancy. So if everybody can get themselves nice and comfortable, and have your feet firm on the floor, or if you're lying on the bed, your legs nicely supported. Your lower back is nicely supported into the back of the chair. Now roll your shoulders up to your ears, let the shoulders drop down, and just lengthen through the back of the neck, creating lots of space between the ears and the shoulders. And then imagine there's a string pulling you from the top of your head up to the ceiling. And that's just so your chin is in line with the floor. So you can lower your gaze or close your eyes, whatever is more comfortable for you. And then as we take the attention inward, we start to naturally slow our breathing down. So you'll notice the breath as it comes in through your nostrils. You'll notice your chest rise and your lungs, the rib cage expanding. So you want to guide your breath down to your belly button. And if it helps, you can place your hand at your belly button, and then you'll feel the gentle fall and rise of the belly. It can help as well if you imagine that there's a little balloon at your belly button. And as you inhale, the balloon gently inflates. And as you exhale, the balloon gently deflates. So just practice that for a moment. If you've never done this before, don't worry. It takes practice. And now we're going to start the square breathing. We'll just do 4 rounds to give you a sample. So what we do is we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So we'll start now. We're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Now just come back to your own slow, soothing rhythm breath. Gently start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your head from side to side, and then just gently open your eyes. So maybe some of you do that all the time, but hopefully you feel at least 1% more relaxed. But that's the kind of breathing I do it every single night and in the mornings as well. And it's great. It's just, you can do it anytime throughout the day as well. And it's just sending that messages up to the brain, accessing the rest and digest nervous system, especially when you feel like you're starting to go into the fight or flight nervous system, the anxiety. So it's a short, effective technique. There's also another one as well from yoga, alternative nostril breathing. So that really helps balance as well. And that's really good as well, actually, for helping relaxing. So basically you're inhaling through one nostril out and exhaling. So that one is quite good as well. So we're nearly done. So here are really helpful websites that you can look at. And so Sleep Works, Sleep Foundation, huge amount of information. The Women's Health Concern, that's where a lot of the information I got with the estrogen, progesterone. The Menopause Doctor is Dr. Louise Newsom, who's just a wealth of knowledge. And she also has a fantastic app, the Balance app. The British Menopause Society, very good website as well. And the International Menopause Society. I also added in this TED Talk as well. It copied like this. I couldn't copy it neater, but it's Dr. Lisa Mosconi. She's a fantastic neuroscientist over in New York. She's doing loads and loads of research on the female brain. And this TED Talk is really, really good. A lot of it is about the Mediterranean diet, and it's really interesting. It's only 15 minutes. I sent it to my friends this week, and well, I know one of them listened to it anyway. She said it was very good. So it's not too long either. There are some of the references as well. And oh, that's it. Oh, the end. I meant to put a thank you in. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Maureen.
Yeah. Oh, that was a very abrupt end, wasn't
it? That was great. Well, we were half asleep now, so it's all right.
Well, I know maybe my wittering on. That's the thing. Maybe the presentation as well. If it's boring, you can use that to go to sleep at night.
Well, I don't know. We've got a few questions to start off with. So this one's kind of a longish one. I no longer have challenges sleeping. Over the last 2-ish years, I sleep more and more. I cannot function if I don't have a minimum of 8.5 hours every night. And every 10 days or so, I'll sleep for 11 hours. This person does get up every day around the same time at 6:30, has animals who demand feeding, and they're the alarm clock. This person will be 53 this month. Will this sleep of the dead go away sometime? Sometimes I have to lie down during the day, stroke weekend, and maybe sleep for another 1.5 hours. I might stay up a bit later then, 10:30, 11.
Yeah, we would see that a lot as well. We like oversleeping can be as much of a problem as the undersleeping as well. And there can be many causes for that. Yeah, it could be the estrogen deficiency, but also as well, maybe get your bloods checked as well in terms of thyroid and iron. We would see it in terms of as well, sometimes people that have a combination, of with depression, and maybe then that they had low B12 and low iron and things like that. So yeah, it'd probably be worth just exploring it. Yeah.
The B12 is an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I only realized that recently, to keep an eye on that level.
Yeah.
Has Maureen any further information on night sweats? The concept of what it's about.
Well, you can get, if you go to the Menopause Doctor website, and there's loads of information there. I mean, it's basically because the estrogen, the hypothalamus in the brain, which is our thermostat, if you like, we've estrogen receptors all over the body. So with the spikes in the estrogen, the low and the high of the estrogen, the hypothalamus is panicking, going, what's going on here? It's kind of like, think of your central heating, your thermostat at home for the heating going a bit haywire. And that's what's happening. So generally speaking, the best treatment for night sweats will be replacing the estrogen. Otherwise, you can try gabapentin, you can try clonidine, or you can try venlafaxine, an antidepressant as well. So you can get lots more information as well on Louise Newson's website or the British Menopause as well. Yeah.
Great. Great presentation, Maureen. Thank you. Could you ask Maureen if she has heard of Menobalance vitamin gummies by Star Power, which help with menopause? Each gummy contains sage leaf and soy isoflavones, which have been known to help with hot flushes. One of the perimenopause she is currently experiencing is night sweats.
Yeah, there is. Like, menopause is big business, and there's so many lotions, potions, vitamins, coaches. Just be so careful where you spend your money. And in terms of the evidence, so there isn't a whole lot of evidence to show that soy isoflavones and the different things. There's very limited evidence. Now, to take a really good all-round multivitamin, I take a good all-round multivitamin every day. That's sufficient. But in terms of, just be really careful. There's so many things out there.
How long does it typically take for HRT to kick in?
Generally, Louise Newson recommends, so she always says, right, if somebody says, oh, I don't know whether to take HRT, will it work? And she always says, look, try 3 months. For testosterone, it can be 4 to 6 months. But generally, most women know, some women will find that symptoms resolve. I found, especially the nocturia, resolved, the dry eyes, the itchy skin within a week. So you'll find if you're tracking your symptoms and you know the different symptoms, you will find, but give yourself three months. If you go to a menopause specialist and they prescribe you HRT, they will get you to come back for a review in 3 months, see how things go. Do you need a tweak? Do you need up or down or whatever? And then again in another 3 months, and then it'll be 6 months after that. So minimum 3 months. Yeah, would you agree, Karen?
Yeah, I think just to reiterate the Balance app again, that Louise Newson's app that she has, it's called the Balance app, but it's a mind of information as well. But it sends you a reminder every evening. So I get my reminder at 9 o'clock actually. As the news is coming on, I get my reminder, have you had any symptoms today? But it gives you just this report, like if you're like into data, it gives you a report then on, all the symptoms that you've experienced in that month. But it just builds up, like, if you're thinking about going to see a menopause specialist, it gives you all this information then that you can go to that person with and say, look, this is what I've been tracking for the last 2 or 3 months, and this is what's going on. It's really invaluable. So that might be a thing to do.
Yeah. Because when you go to your GPs are extremely busy people. Yeah. So you need to go, you need to have done your homework, and you need to go to the GP and say, ta-da, look, this is all my symptoms, rather than they having to drag it out of you, because you only have 10 minutes or whatever in the GP, and they're super duper mad busy these days as well. So, yeah.
And actually, just to mention that the Menopause Hub are a specialist clinic in Dublin, and they have on their website just a symptom tracker kind of idea. So if you print that off, if you're thinking about going to see a specialist, or just for your own information, just print it off and just take the severity of each of the symptoms that they have down on it. It just gives them a good idea that when you go to them, that in that 10 minutes that you have, and then I had to do it over like a telecall. So literally you're just like, like, give it to me. You're trying to get as much information to this person across a screen, really. There is one here. I go to sleep easily, but wake up to go to the loo, and then find it very hard to get back to sleep most nights. Any ideas? I don't put the light on. I'd suggest like a sleep kind of podcast or something. Just put the earphones in and fall asleep to it.
Yeah, and the breathing as well.
Yeah.
And just, just relaxing into the bed. Even that insomnia, the Beaumont one as well. And especially if you use it night after night. So what you're doing then, you're creating that association in your brain with, I have a couple of apps, meditation apps I listen to, because I've been listening to them for about 9 years. My brain now automatically, it's relaxation time. So you set up that association. So the square breathing, the Nadi Shodhana, try that. But if it continues on as well and you're getting up a lot during the night, because that was my issue, maybe look at the hormones as well.
That is it on questions, unless anybody else has got anything burning. Doesn't have to be sleep related at all, but if there's something you want to ask a specialist on to do with hormones or symptoms. No? Okay.
Well, thank you all so much.
Oh, there is one here actually. Any tips on nightmares?
So yeah, nightmares would need investigating. So obviously there's a trigger, and what is that trigger and what's going on? It's really thinking about, is there triggers from the past? Is there stuff going on right now? So really with the nightmares piece, it's really, it mightn't be based in reality. It could be perception and perception of the past as well. So even perhaps some sort of, specialist therapy as well to talk through it, because there might be other symptoms as well.
Oh, this is nice. There's a wonderful Irish company called Flying Wild who have fabulous menopause balms, which I use before bed. There's sage in it, and she highly recommends. That's nice.
Yeah.
So it's called Flying Wild.
Nice.
Yeah, I use lavender sprays as well, which, can kind of help you drift off.
Yeah, everything helps. Because even if you do, if somebody is replacing hormones, you still have to, there's no point replacing hormones and then, being on your iPad all night with a glass of wine and a cigarette. You have to, as much as we'd like it, or a G&T. Actually, on my the training I did with the British Menopause Society, they said that red wine was the worst thing for hot flushes and night sweats. So I said I changed to gin and tonic, pink gin and fever tree tonic. You can't go wrong. But yeah, so you still have to look after yourself really well, as you would. I know somebody put up there.
Yeah. And all the talk there is about, a glass of red wine is just, so good for you.
Yeah, but it's only, for some people it's okay, but for women who, you might find, God, yeah, after a glass of red wine, I'm like, yeah. So distilled spirits, I'm not encouraging drinking here, but if you do, distilled spirits are what is good for you.
Sure, look, we're living in a pandemic at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up then, everybody. I want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you for coming and joining us this evening, and I hope you get some good takeaway information from that. Actually, Maureen, I was to ask you about your 3, if you're just to sum it up in 3, I love it. Your 3 takeaways on better sleep. Just as an information.
Oh, yes. Well, I think the first thing is really notice what you're doing during the daytime, because that really affects your sleep. So in terms of that piece of, trying not to overschedule your day, getting out into daylight and trying to eat as best you can. Look, every day is different. And then, the days and the nights that you're really, really tired and wired and can't sleep, be super kind to yourself and talk to yourself in a very compassionate way and nurture and soothe yourself with the breathing as you would like a baby. You know what I mean? When the baby wakes in the middle of the night, you're going to talk softly to it and be kind to it. And it's the same piece. I suppose the third, remember, the brain doesn't know what's real or perceived. So if you're trying to cultivate really calming thoughts at night, soothing thoughts, and talking kindly to yourself at night, it'll go a long way. Yeah, and if you're perimenopausal, track your symptoms. And if you're postmenopausal, it's still fine to take estrogen to manage those sleep bits. I had a 58-year-old lady today who's heading off to the menopausal, which is great. So, yeah.
Excellent. One question has actually come in, and it's an interesting one, because it'll apply to everybody, I think. Did you ladies have sugar cravings before starting HRT? If so, did it take it away?
Yes, for me it did.
Yeah.
It definitely took it away. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, it just went back to normal, because like sugar's not bad for you, excess sugar is, and it just went back to normal, not craving scones and bread and that kind of PMS type craving. It's just more balanced. Are you the same, Karen?
Oh God, yeah. And like I'd be more of a savory kind of person, but I just found that it was not so much like sweets and chocolate, but it was just kind of carbs, just that kind of quick kind of glucose into your system. Yeah,
like a
very PMS like.
Yeah. So no, that's thankfully gone.
Okay. So that's us. I'm going to tell you, because this is going to put the wind up me now. But the next one for May is on nutrition. So that will be a good one. We'll have all your email addresses and your contact details. So we'll send you out. We'll send you out the information on it and when it is. When at a later stage, but yeah, it's going to be on nutrition.
And I'll be participating, not me.
That's right, it's me. It's going to be me. I know I'm a nutrition geek, but no, there's a bit more reading that has to go, and I'll be ringing you up lots more and going, but yes, anyway, that's what it's on. So just keep that in your mind, and just thank you very much for coming, everybody. Really enjoyed your company.